Projects for this weekend. One of my top projects is getting that mess organized, and I'm going to end up moving my wireless router, which is up top there, and also right next to that's where my computer usually sits. I'm going to end up moving that as well, so I don't have to have that loom running up to the top shelf. Also move the Arlo and the Ready NAS. The ideal is to move it all up top here, more centralize the Wi-Fi router, and actually get my printer online. Picked up 1,000 feet of Cat 5 off OfferUp for 30 bucks. Can't beat that. I should say Cat 5e. So that's the organization part of my weekend, which I'm probably going to finish that all up today. Then we got some fun projects going on over here. So this is my old gaming PC. Quad-core Xeon processor. Can't quite remember the model. I know it's hyper-threaded, so 8 logical cores altogether. It's got 64 gigs of RAM. Currently I have a Intel Fiber NIC, an Intel dual gig NIC, and an Intel single gig NIC, along with a RAID controller, some 15K SAS drives. I think the ideal for this one is we're going to rip all that apart. I intended for this to actually be a server. I just never did anything with it. Didn't feel like paying for the electricity, I guess. So what we have a 500 watt power supply in it. And the game plan is to put these two R9 280Xs in it in Crossfire, throw an SSD in it. I know 500 watts ain't enough to power all that, but we have a GPU power supply right here. That's what this little cable's for. I ran it before with the two R9s and they ran perfectly fine. So that'll power the GPU, the 500 watt power supply will power everything else. I was going to transfer it to this case. This is my current rig. I have a new case coming tomorrow, the NZXT H700, not the 700i. I didn't really care to pay the extra 50 bucks for their intelligent module. I trust the motherboard to control my fan speeds just fine. And outside of that, the only thing I had was a couple LED strips, but I got those for like 13 bucks on Amazon. So for the price of the 700i, I was able to get the 700 with LED strips and some sleeved power 24 pin, 8 pin, and power GPU cables. So clean up nice. They're red and black, so it's going to kind of match the theme going on here. Outside of those upgrades, I also picked up some more memory. Half of it has showed up so far. I'm running the Ripjaw 4 3200 DDR4. I wanted to stick with the same memory for aesthetic purposes, and I really do enjoy the memory. It's been rock solid for 3 years, no complaints. But a little harder to find. I found Newegg had one pair for 90 bucks. It's actually a decent deal. And the other pair I had to buy off of Amazon Marketplace. Unfortunately, I bought them at the same time. The Newegg ones are right there, and I have not received any shipment information on the ones I bought from the Amazon Market. So hopefully that shows up soon, because that's kind of holding the build up. I'm still going to move forward and do the case transfer and all that fun stuff. I'll just have to install the memory later. Part of this project is I've always had, at least for the last, I'm assuming decade it seems like, I've had an all-in-one cooler for my GPU, or CPU I should say. And I want to do something a little different, so I wanted to go back to doing air cooling on my CPU, which right now I have a 5830K. I'm currently overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz, holding nice and steady. I will be replacing that with this Dark Rock Pro 4. This thing is massive and looks super cool. And from everything I've read, it either outperforms or performs right up there with these all-in-one coolers, especially one subpar of 150 bucks. So, I mean, this thing is a beast. I checked fitment. Looks like it's going to clear things, so hopefully that looks good. I was going to get the, what is it, the NHD 15 cooler, but their fans, of course, are, the Tor fans right here, are just ugly. I'm glad they're finally coming out with black fans to kind of match cases and all that, but it was the same price, and I got it in one day instead of waiting 3 days, or sometimes I'm impatient with things. So this one performs right up there with it, maybe a few degrees Celsius difference, but nothing to complain too much about. I'm hoping I can keep my overclock going. I was going to build a whole new computer and do like a new 9th gen Intel processor and all that fun stuff, but this motherboard and processor is amazing. 6 cores, hyper-threaded. Like I said, right now I got 16 gigs of 3200. I'll be up to 32 gigs. Overclocked easy. More slots I know what to do with. I built this computer 3 years ago. The only thing I've changed out in it is I've added a 960 Pro M.2 for my OS boot drive, and the 1080 Ti. The 1080 Ti replaced the two R9 280Xs. I mean, no complaints. This thing runs great. I was feeling the need to build. I was like, you know what? I'll just keep my motherboard memory and graphics card and all that fun stuff. No sense of upgrading the PSU. I'm gonna keep the fans. The new case only has 140 mounts, 2 in the front. You can do, I think, 3 or maybe 2 in the top and 1 in the rear. So right now I have 4. I have a 5th one right there, so I might end up returning that one because I don't think I'm actually going to need it. Outside of that, that's kind of what I'm looking to do this weekend. It's going to be some fun stuff. Part of this too is this has been sitting so long that I just want it gone. So I have a possible person trading me a MacBook Pro for it. You know, I don't want to spend the money on a MacBook Pro, so if I can get a trade-off on some old PC hardware I have sitting around, why not? I mean, these cards have been sitting there. I built, maybe a year or two ago, I built it to be back to being a gaming PC and for my wife, and she never used it, so I tore it back down, built it up as a server again, and never even installed an operating system. I think the game plan was to actually build a ESXi server, and I got a couple Cisco switches laying around, so I was going to play around with that and use the fiber. It's not worth it. Especially now that I'm going to be upgrading the memory to this, I can just run VMs on here to play around with the new server operating systems and all that fun stuff. So that's kind of what we got going on. I'll make a video once I get my case in tomorrow. The case, the sleeved cables, the power supply, and the LED strips will be in tomorrow. Don't know when I'm getting my other set of RAM, so that's going to be fun. The only thing I'm concerned about is I can use 6 DIMMs in this. It will use up, from what I understand, this. I have to put them in that one and that one, which that's okay. I just don't think I don't know if I have the clearance to get the RAM in after I put that Dark Rock Pro 4 and it's all mounted in together. I don't know if I'm going to have the room to wiggle it out, so I got to decide whether or not I want to go ahead and mount the new heatsink tomorrow, and then maybe I'll just have to unmount it and get the RAM in there. I think it's going to clear, but it's going to sit like right on these inner slots here, especially the rear, because as you can see on the back heat tower, the fan sits on it, so that's gonna. The fan seems to clear. It seems to be okay, and I'm thinking I might be all right over here. I might be able to squeeze that DIMM in there. I'm hoping. Well, I will keep you posted on the progress of these projects, and hopefully everything goes well. Have a great weekend.